Hello and welcome. I have a bit of a lengthy message today. I think I've let you all know that in the last couple of recordings, things have come on the fly, but this time I felt really called to do a lot of writing and note taking and not really sit with it for too long, but get it out on the page first and then react second. And part of my reaction is going to be to perform, so to speak, or go through it. And there's a sense that the message might change as I keep talking and more things might come to light, or I might find a natural split for the collective because the message is it's like messages, and they sort of feed into one another, but I'm kind of getting on to record before I know whether or not all of what I've written is going to make it into this recording or if there's something that needs to be held for later. But I'm being asked to trust and just make it work and trust the process and know that I'll know when this is communicated in the way that it is supposed to be communicated. And that is the first message, is that you're being asked to trust your discernment. And this is something that we have talked about before here. I've given that message to the collective before, but you really are being asked to trust your own discernment and understand that you will be able to see or feel or know or think or hear however you intuitively get your information. And for some of you, this is channeling. Like some of you are people that have a skill of knowing or hearing or seeing, but for some of you, it is not quite that literal or to that degree, but you will understand in whatever way you understand when something that you're working on is to completion. And I'm getting a sense that you are discouraged, and the ask is that you just make it work. And I can see, it's almost like I see an audience of people that, as I said that, grimaced or ugh, like had a visceral reaction because you don't want to hear that. It sounds like tough love. It's not meant to be tough. It's meant to be direct, and Spirit really wants that message to come through directly. And some of you think it's tough love and that it's a comment on your character, and it is absolutely not. Some of you may be particularly sensitive to tough love or have given some tough love or some direct feedback or have received some tough love or feedback recently. Tough love is the phrase that is repeating. And Face the Music just popped into my head, which was not part of the original message. So there is something that is a truth that either someone else has let you know or you need to tell someone else. If you are on the side of receiving the quote tough love, you may be feeling like it's unfair or it's personal or it is, I don't want to say undeserving, but there's something about it that has you in your feelings. And then if you're on the giving end, it's like you are fearing how that is being perceived. So Spirit is just asking you to sit with that. And I'm going to pivot for a second because I'm looking at my window and there were some cars stopped at a light. I live kind of in the middle of the block, and so the backlog of cars went kind of pretty far back. And I watched a car who was waiting open its door, driver's side door, and then drive away with their driver's side door open for as far as I could see. And that feels really significant and feels like a bridge into something else that I was planning to talk about later on, but it wants to come up now in relation to this sort of tough love, truth to be delivered or truth to be received or whatever. Let me just sit with this. Okay. Yeah, so it's like this do it anyway, this make it work. It's like be ready for something to come in a way that you didn't anticipate it to come in, and act in a way that will get you to that destination. But, and I don't know why this is the phrase that's coming, but what I'm hearing is don't be stupid. So don't drive away with your driver's side door open. Be able to think quickly and say, I need to close the door and I need to drive off. That's sort of the imagery that I'm getting. I'm almost replaying that scene and watching that person shut their door really closely and speed off. And that is what you're being asked to do. So you're getting discouraged, just make it work. You're getting discouraged. Why? And you don't know why. What? Because it's taking too long? Too long to who? It's almost like you know that your timelines are aligned, but your earthly vision, if you will, wants it to come in faster. But I'm hearing that you might not know what you would do with it now. This waiting is part of it, and what you do in this space now will set the stage. You're almost being asked to think of this period of time as a luxury, right? You get to rest, you get to think, you get to relax into this period while you're waiting for what you know is coming in. And Spirit wants me to acknowledge, and I want to acknowledge, if I may, that feeling of discouragement is really normal. It's really human. It is part of what makes us human, of wanting and waiting, and it doesn't come in and saying, okay, well, I'm discouraged, but there's this ask of acknowledge it, sit with it, embrace it, and then move forward and just make it work. Figure it out. Practice in quiet. I'm actually getting a very strong image of this channel as it sits today. When I started this channel, I was very clear that I don't know who it will reach, but I trust that it will reach the right people at the right time, at the right scale. And if that stays at getting 10 views per video, 12 subscribers, if that is a scale that's meant to be, I actually feel very confident and very sure and secure that that's what this is meant to be. I am very much still figuring it out. I started this because I answered a call, and I am very aware that I do not know what I would do with 100,000 subscribers right now. That feels very scary. And so I've sort of embraced this timeline, but there are other things in my life and there are things in your life I'm seeing that you don't feel that way about. You want the growth and you want to be busy and you don't want to rest, and Spirit is really asking you to sit there and say, this is the situation. What can I do with this time? And that answer will be different for everyone. It's almost like you need to think of this as part of the journey and a really intentional part of the journey, and not just a holding cell or a liminal space. I'm hearing like liminal space pretty loudly, and it's a phrase that maybe you got a lot of comfort in the past, but Spirit's almost asking you to not think of this as liminal. It is defined. It's just you can't see how it's defined in this timeline. But if you're able to bird's eye view, or once you have hindsight, or your higher self understands how this is part of the greater journey, and it's really not a holding cell. It's not a limbo. It is a true stop on the way. And even if you don't know what to do with that stop, you're being asked to understand that it is intentional. And I'm hearing do it anyway. Do it anyway. You're discouraged, right? Things aren't happening. And part of this might be roadblocks are coming up. Things are coming up. They're not going according to plan. You're faced with either not doing it or doing it imperfectly. This is really similar to a previous message. It might have even been my last. I can't remember, but someone still needs to hear it. Someone still needs to hear that the answer is do it imperfectly. It means more work, probably. Yeah, it means more work. Not doing it is the easier in the moment, but don't lean into that easier in the moment. Something that was working may also not seem to be working, right? Something, you had a way of working that was working, and all of a sudden there is a roadblock, or it's being perceived differently, or your psyche just isn't aligning with it anymore. And the ask is to wait it out. You don't have to do the same thing over and over again. You can sort of figure out another way of making it work, but know that there's relief on the other side. It's almost like plan for what's in front of you. The imagery I'm getting is someone in a car, they're commuting to work, or they take the same road every day wherever they're going. And one day they're on their commute and there's some road work and it doesn't look like it's that big of a deal. It looks like it might be a 1 day, 2 day thing, right? It slows things down. There's some traffic, but you come back the next day and there's more people there. They're jackhammering. They've got a tractor that's digging out. They've got people in a hole, right? There's cones. And then a couple of days later, there's nobody there, but like the cones and the supplies, I'm seeing like big wood planks, those are all still there. And the lane is shut down. And then a couple of days later, there's work again. And what you thought would only be a few days is becoming this big thing, but nobody knows when it's going to end. They're not even working on it every day, but it just still impacts. And there's this variability where every day where you get in your car to do this commute, you don't know what you're going to find. You don't know if one lane is going to be closed, 2 days are going to be closed. I'm seeing very specifically you went to commute one day and the road was completely closed and you had to detour, and there's no indication of how long it'll be. There's no predictability, no regularity, but you have to keep doing this commute. And so you keep doing it and you find something new every day. And then one day, everything will be back to normal and it will feel like it's overnight. It's like one day they were working and the next day everything is gone. All signs, all cones, all of those wooden planks, everything is gone and you won't know what they did. On the surface, the roads feel the same, they look the same, there's nothing new, and it will feel like you've wasted however much time that took. It's like something underground and it's something that needed to happen, but it's not something that you would have known about. And you don't need to know. You don't need to know it was done. I'm really hearing that you need to lean into that feeling of work. Like the work needed to happen, and on that first commute, there's going to be this gut feeling of frustration. Like, what did they even do? Why did they derail my commute for so long? And the ask is, feel that for a second and then lean into that relief. The work is done. My commute is back to normal. It's really easy to get stuck in that frustration. I'm like watching this scene play out in my head. Someone's like in the break room at work and every day they give an update. Oh, they were digging a hole today. Oh, the cones they closed the lane. Nobody's been there for 3 days. When is this going to be over, right? And then you come into work that day when the work is over and I'm seeing a split screen and one person is saying, the work is over. I have my commute back, and moves on with their day and is able to move forward and gets to work. And the second person is saying, the work is over. I have no idea what they did. It looks exactly the same. I can't believe, and it's just this like ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. And you're being asked to lean into that first persona, that the work is done. I have my commute back. It is what it is. You cannot change the past. You cannot change things that you are not in control of. You have no control over construction unless there's someone in this collective who is in charge of construction or city planning. But I'm hearing that that's not most of you. So it's like leaning into that, being okay with not having answers, being okay with not knowing why things are going the way they are going. And that is really hard because this is a collective that likes answers. Yeah, this discouraging, trust the journey, trust that there are going to be things that come up that you do not know about, and just make it work regardless. Lean into what's happening in front of you, not dwelling on the past, and learn from it and move on and let yourself, like, I can see how discouraged you are. I can see that you're questioning. And Spirit does not want you to be discouraged and does not want you to question, but really is asking that you lean into the present and lean into getting what you can out of this time. I'm seeing someone on this commute. Oh, this imagery is really sticking with me. That doesn't always happen. listening to a new podcast or getting really into audiobooks because their commute was a little bit longer. And so they had a little bit more time to themselves. And I'm also seeing that same person maybe a month or so after the construction listening to a podcast and they can't finish the episode they're on. And there's this brief moment and this brief thought of, remember when I could finish a full podcast on my commute? That was nice. And so you may look back on this time and it's not that you want the construction back, right? You understand that not having those, that detour or that noise or the added time to your commute, you don't want that. There's no world in which you would want that back. But there's also a part of you that's like, that was a nice part of that. And I'm glad I'm not going through that right now, but I do miss that one aspect. And so finding those things, even when the situation is not ideal, that makes you feel that way, that could be something you look back on and say, oh, that was nice, right? Or even like if you're ruminating over something in the past, maybe there is something that you do miss about it. And I'm like seeing some eye rolls still. It's like you've listened to this and you're just like, so I need to like, this is another message of trust. This is another message of like being positive. And that's very real. That feeling is very real. You're not being asked to dismiss those feelings. You're not being asked to ignore the fact that you've been on a journey for however long. But Spirit's just asking you to read between the lines, maybe a little bit more, finding whatever comfort you can, if there is any comfort there, and knowing that whatever the present situation is, there might be something that you miss one day. And again, not a reason to not dream. This is more saying you are right to feel discouraged. And also, you are more in charge of how you feel about this than maybe you feel like you are. And in a world and in a season of your life where you want to be in control and it feels like everything is just being left up to chance, Spirit is asking you to take comfort in the ways in which you can have some power over a situation, and that is in the way that you look at things and think about things. And I still am hearing strongly that you don't love that answer, but it is the message. And if you don't love that answer, that is also okay. And Spirit wants you to sit with yourself and ask why, and wants you to be clear about what you want to hear. I'm seeing someone who's looking for a lot of messages and keeps seeing things or hearing things that they don't want to hear, but you don't know what you are looking for. I think that's where this will end. There's a little bit more, but I'm hearing that it's related, but it's separate. So I'm going to stop this recording, post this, and sit on the second part of this. And if they do seem to be more related, I'll link them. I'll probably link them anyway. But the other one's like a little bit of Goldilocks energy. So if that resonates, keep an eye and I'll get something out soon. Okay. Spirit wants me to end by saying, you got this. Like a pep talk, which I am reluctant to say because I know that is annoying to some of you. Like I can hear you guys. I can hear you. I can feel your eye rolls. You don't want to be told you got this, even though you do. So that's the message. Appreciate you being here. Yes, you got this. And I will see you in the next one.